Kevin McCullough.
Welcome back. Kevin McCullough, glad to have you with us. And yet to come, the second installment of the New Music Spotlight, the Music Spotlight stage. We'll be getting to that before the end of the hour. We will also be bringing to you, in large measure, much of the first episode of the docuseries that we're talking about in our next segment, that Kelsey Bolar is here joining us to discuss this issue of cruel and unusual punishment. Women that are behind bars, serving time for crimes that they've already been found guilty of, being re-traumatized by having male inmates added to their population, and not just anybody. A lot of the males that are coming into these prisons happen to be convicted of predatory crimes themselves: murder, rape, sexual assault, etc. Kelsey, before the break, you were giving me your idea of why the gender issue has jettisoned to the top of the pack. I think of people like Megyn Kelly, who I used to do her show regularly when she was on in the afternoons at Fox, and we would have conversations from time to time off air about some of the big social stuff that we were talking about. And at the time, she was a big proponent of trans rights and the idea of equal treatment and so forth. She has very publicly and very compassionately come out in recent years, I think largely to the work of IWF and some others that helped open her eyes, but she has seen the damage that this is doing across the board. You mentioned the separation between the gay lesbian issue and the trans issue. That is certainly very evident in the trans exclusionary radical feminist movement, the TERFs, that are actually standing with pro-family forces on the side of opposing some of these issues. It seems as though this administration has had a strong desire to push this and push this hard. Is there any momentum in this election cycle that the opponents of these policies can gain through either side of the candidacies? Do you see either side talking about it in a way that would bring resolution to some of this?
There's hope. I am hopeful that the tide is turning on this issue, that parents, that Americans across the country are starting to get on board with the ways in which sort of the gender medicine side of this has been exposed to be completely fraudulent, to be incredibly harmful to children. What I'm not as convinced about is whether they understand the link between sort of affirming a child's gender identity during the younger years and how that puts them directly on the path towards medicalization. But more and more Americans are being impacted by this issue. We now, IWF used to be out there kind of alone advocating for keeping women's sports female. Now my team cannot keep up with the number of parents and athletes who reach out to us with stories. We used to try to tell every single one of these stories. Now it's so prevalent across the country, we can't even keep up. So the more people who are being impacted means the more girls and women who are being outspoken on this issue, standing up for biological truth, biological reality. Women's sports bills have passed in quite a number of states at this point. But of course, on the national level, we do still have the Biden administration completely dug into this, trying to perverse Title IX, trying to change, you can't even tell us what the definition of a woman is. So there's unfortunately a lot of work we still need to do. But every day, I see these small steps being taken to right these wrongs. Most recently, of course, I'm sure you talked about the ways that WPATH have exposed that this really is an experimentation, a medical experimentation on children. But we need there's a fear of speaking out about these issues still. I've seen that through my work. I've seen that for years, and we need power in numbers. We need more Riley Gaines, out there bravely standing up for what they know is right.
Well, as best as you can come up with the stories, we will be faithful to tell them here. And that's been a commitment I've had with you specifically, since going back to the Connecticut high school track girls that were losing scholarships and losing out on state records because simple boys were running in their races, shattering their hopes for any of those things to occur. I guess I am hopeful as well. There seems to be a lot on the plate for the voters to deal with this go around, and I don't want this to get lost in the muddle. Kelsey, I always appreciate you being with us. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Kevin.
You got it. IWF.org, IWF.org. Coming right back.
Stick around for more